What up? My name is Mateo. Welcome back. Good to be with you guys today. So, we're going to have a little bit of a chat today. I honestly don't know how long we're going to go on for, but I just have some things on my mind. I've got some plans as to what's going to be happening with the channel over the next 40 days or so. We're going to be talking a little bit about Lent. It's very important to me, and it's very important to some of you. We've talked in the messages a little bit, and if you are an ortho bro, reach out to me. I'm setting up like a little bit of a communique channel with the ortho bros that I know out there who are also lovely Monero bros, and we're going to give each other encouragement during this fast. And I know some Catholics are also fasting as well, but particularly in the Orthodox Church, we're giving up meat, we're giving up dairy, oils, wine, and a lot of other things as well. Really committing our souls and our spirits to getting closer with Christ and to increasing our prayer and getting closer with those around us that we love. And there's a lot that goes into that. And I want to focus also less on social media because I think the people who I'm seeing on social media who I thought were once rational people have gone completely insane. And I think that we as Christians, or we as, I guess, rational people out there who want a better world, I think it's smart for us to take a break from social media. I see the same hysteria that led to all the chaos and ridiculous things that happened during 2020 and 2021 with the whole COVID thing happening again, except the stakes are that much higher. And as we talked about in the last video, something I just didn't see coming, which I should have, was that people would actually get their crypto together and fund a kleptocratic far-right regime for war. I didn't see this coming. It's so amazing how amenable people are to propaganda after 2 years of just being bombarded by it and then figuring out it was propaganda. The very same people are telling you in this particular circumstance who the good guys are and who the bad guys are. They're selling you a narrative, and I think it's that much more convincing to people, particularly with this situation, because we are tribal fundamentally as part of our nature. And when you see one party attack another, and they're these terrible optics which come out of a battlefield that really make you sympathetic to the people that are there, and it makes you want revenge, and it makes you really compassionate to the people who are under attack, blah, 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 blah. I mean, that viscerally fires you up, doesn't it? But to not have control over those emotions with your reason, with your mind, that could lead you to do silly things like fund a corrupt military, an authoritarian regime, mind you, with your money, with your crypto. And I think I read an article recently that those in Russia who are caught funding or giving any support to the Ukrainian military are going to be thrown in jail for like 20 years or something like this. And a lot of these people in Russia, because I guess the Bitcoin bros did not come out and give too honest a take as to what really happened with the Canadian situation, which we talked about here on the channel, and just give an honest take as to how not private Bitcoin is. And, there's a lot of, mushy, like, oh, well, we can read a privacy guide, bro, like a 70,000 page privacy guide, bro. It's not that hard. I know it's like, 2.5 point fine print, but you can get it right. I promise. Just go to school first for a PhD in computer science, and I promise you your Bitcoin's going to be private. But they just come out and they say, yeah, Bitcoin's totally private. And so you probably have a lot of people in Russia who are going to get freaking screwed funding the Ukrainian military because this whole thing has turned into like this social media movement. And I don't see this cat getting out of the bag, ladies and gentlemen. I think the moral capital for crypto is just freaking nuked. I think it's over. The whole we're gonna end all wars thing. Oh, crypto is like a moral good. Oh, crypto is going to lead humanity to liberty and a new hyper Bitcoinized world of peace and mutualism. It's not going to happen. It's been totally destroyed by what we've seen over the last week, and people don't recognize this yet. And in fact, I see the very same people who say, yeah, Bitcoin's going to end all war, like Pompliano, like Clemente, like some other people. They're like, yeah, we're funding the defense of a sovereign nation. I thought crypto was about self-sovereignty. I thought it was about overcoming the state altogether. And now you guys are literally giving crypto to a state in order to fight and finance a war. It's just crazy. And who knows what that money's even going to be doing, right? Who knows where it's even going to be going. But yeah, I have no interest in seeing people just blow up the entire movement, which is exactly what's happening right now. Nobody sees it yet, it seems. I mean, our channel seems to be one of the only channels out here pushing back against this. I see nobody else doing it. Now, it was nice that Doug from Monero Talk invited me on last weekend in order to discuss this. But I was out on a bachelor trip. I got a buddy getting married, which is great. I've just had many other things going on, unfortunately, which is why I'm probably going to be making, if not significantly less videos, no videos at all over the next 30, 40 days, because it's just, what's the point? I mean, at this point, what's the point? Why am I going to get myself riled up? Why am I even going to take the time when I should be praying, when I should be repenting, when I should get closer to Christ, especially during this time, to tell people to buy Monero? Hey, buy Monero, become part of our community. We're going to finance regimes for war. It's just so ridiculous. Why would I want to be part of that? Why would I want to bring people into that? Now, the counter argument is, well, Matt, you're one of the few channels trying to do this whole Christ and crypto thing. You're trying to put a positive connotation to crypto, even though it seems to be going down into a totally demonic, immoral hell. And I do see some comments, well, crypto, is amoral, and I do agree with you, it is. But the people who comprise our society, the people who comprise the crypto realm, the people who comprise pretty much our world at this point are so far from God that I almost see it as an impossibility that as a net, this actually turns out to be beneficial to humanity. That's the point I'm at now. And I am not concerning myself too much, frankly, with crypto, because there are much greater concerns that are now popping up, survivalist-based concerns. And I told you guys about a week and a half ago in the Telegram, and by the way, our Telegram is very based. We've been talking a lot about the recent events, not so much in the last week because, again, I've been busy. But I told you guys, look, if this stuff in Russia and Ukraine and that part of the world doesn't settle up over the next week or two, which I said about a week or two ago, the situation's going to get very bad. It's going to get very bad. And I had posted in the Telegram, and I think I put this on Twitter too, a list of exports, a list of Russia's top exports, because I knew an embargo was coming. I knew that they were going to essentially cut it off from the global financial system, which is what happened. And they're still having corporations pull out. They're still enacting more sanctions on them. And by the way, our Gazprom position, guys, is completely gone. I mean, I told you guys over the last few months that, Gazprom's going to be doing great. Nord Stream 2 is coming along. Russia gets about 50-60% of their gas from Russia. Or did I say that right? Did I say Europe gets 50-60% of the gas? Yeah. And I know buddies who tell me it's more than that because they worked on pipelines or they knew people who worked on pipelines. I mean, it's so much energy that they get from Russia. We get a good bit of energy from Russia as well. And, I knew that if this carried on and went long enough, oh man, it was going to get bad. And that's what we're seeing. But yeah, Gazprom, I think I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, Gazprom, they had many brokerages cut off the capacity for people to trade Gazprom and other Russian assets. Sberbank, which is Russia's biggest lender, and I think in 2014, the third biggest bank in Europe. It went from being about 100 to 150 billion dollar market cap to about 20. I mean, it went from like $15 a stock to 50 cents. I mean, just unbelievably nuked. And I think the whole Russian market as a whole is now down about 95%. So they pretty much just destroyed the Russian economy, the Russian financial system. Just boom, nuked it. And Gazprom, unfortunately, was one of those positions. I thought that there were bullish cases for it, but frankly, I didn't see this coming. It's a little bit of a black swan. You have to forgive me a little bit. But as to the dangers which we are now confronting, wheat prices, which is one of the exports that we had pointed out, are going nuclear. Nickel prices are going nuclear. Precious metals are significantly going up, particularly palladium and platinum. Those are going up significantly. Oil, of course, fertilizers are going to be going up, and fertilizers are basically food fuel. And so you've got food going up significantly. You got the fuel for food going up significantly. You got oil going up significantly, which transports food and pretty much runs civilization. And I think I saw on the way back from work, in my area, gas is now $4 a gallon. I don't know how much it is where you guys are, but it's soaring. It's going through the freaking roof. So this problem could just be getting started, okay? And if Ukraine becomes a quagmire, and there really starts to be an expansion of this conflict beyond what it is right now, and it's already pretty serious with the sanctions that have been enacted, which is just war by other means, right? It's just economic warfare, especially when you crash the economy to the extent that they have. This is going to cause trouble, guys. And I'm getting that same feeling now that I had during February of 2020. Like, I just have this feeling that it's all going to go south, like, so quickly. And when you have an increase in food prices and you have an increase in energy prices concomitantly the same way during the same time, I mean, it's only something which leads to more social instability, which is why I think the Germans said that they're going to continue to take Russian gas, but who knows how long that goes on for. But we saw with the Arab Spring in 2011, food inflation going past a certain point just set that whole region of the world on fire. And, there are already so many people in the Western world who are experiencing traumatic inflation because of what the Fed did during 2020. And interestingly enough, we had predicted about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and one of you had actually commented on one of those videos saying that our prediction was right in that video, that there's going to be another crisis. Now, whether it's going to be another, variant, or whether it's going to be some banking issue, or whether there's going to be a war, there's going to be another crisis to get the Fed back printing money. And as if inflation isn't bad enough, you watch out, because the Fed is going to come back with quantitative easing. But the problem is that this is a commodity-based problem. This is a resource-based problem. This is not a monetary issue, as much as it was during the COVID crisis. The COVID crisis, you had a lot of banks around the world and a lot of institutions who had a lot of dollar-denominated debt who weren't going to be able to get that money. And if they weren't going to be able to get that money, that was going to cause a default wave, and that's going to cause a huge deflationary shockwave throughout the world, which would have crashed many banks. It would have crashed the global economy. And so they went out, they made a whole bunch of swap lines, and they gave unemployment to everybody, encouraged them to go out and spend in order to revive the economy back up, and in order to increase other nations' exports, to send more dollars over there and liquefy the system. The problem that I see now is that with the COVID crisis, you had a demand problem, and you had oil go negative, actually. I mean, during May of 2020, people were paying other people to take their oil because they had nowhere to put it, because there was so little demand, because they were shutting everything down. Nobody was going out and buying things. Nobody was traveling, which is glorious, by the way. I remember going from like Delaware down to my home state here in the South, and it was just freaking awesome, dude. Everyone was driving like 90 miles an hour on the highway. I remember filling up my car for $15 because a gallon of gas was like $1.50. It was freaking awesome. This is different. This is much different. Now the price of everything is going up. The Fed has no tools to fix this because now the markets are crashing. I believe NASDAQ is now in a bear market. And if they were to start printing again, inflation, which we already have, would only get so much worse. It only gets so much worse. And I just looked at a statistic today. Home equity line or home equity credit is going up significantly. And I think the consumer is running out of money. I think the consumer is increasingly relying on credit. And look, I think the money's just running out. I think we're kind of in a crunch here. It's stagflation. It's stagflation, and there are no easy solutions to this at all. Now, what they could do, which they're not going to do, evidently, is increase the production of oil here in the West. But this is one of the reasons why we got into our position in Gazprom and Eastern Energy to begin with, is because we knew basically our side of the world is run by a bunch of freaking retards. God forgive me for my language, but seriously, they're shutting down pipelines all over the place. They're shutting down nuclear power plants all over the place. Coal-fired power plants all over the place are being shut down. And you have that going on, and we've made a couple hour-long videos on this. Check out our energy infrastructure crisis or sabotage video. I think that was Sunday Stream 9. But they're doing everything they seemingly can to destroy the energy infrastructure. Meanwhile, we just lost another huge source of energy, which is Russia. And it's not necessarily that we're saying, hey, we might consider cutting off Russian oil. We might consider, like the Russians are now saying, you know what, we may just cut you off, right? And if they commit to doing that, the rest of the world is in just significant trouble. And when you have inflation compounding on black swan level wheat inflation, commodity inflation for the production of goods, energy inflation, this is just, it's going to get ugly, guys. It's going to get very ugly. So I would up your preps. And to my European friends, look, I hope this thing doesn't expand to include you, but there are seemingly a very loud and populous number of incredibly naive, and that's a nice way to put it, people who want to set up like no-fly zones over Ukraine and who want to send their own people in order to go fight the Russians and send a whole bunch of fighter planes and things like this. Guys, given how just either evil or ignorant or stupid the people in power are, anything can happen. Anything can happen at this point. And my consideration for Monero and crypto has become so low that, all I want to do at this point is just get closer to God and just, get my freaking Kevlar helmet on. Because I don't see how this gets resolved. And I think, honestly, we're too late, guys. I think we're just too late. I think we had a number of years to establish parallel economies, but the crypto world chose to use crypto as a store of value rather than a medium of exchange. And because they valued more the store of value properties than the medium of exchange properties, which is what I think the 2017 block size wars were all about fundamentally, the crypto movement at that point was lost. It was essentially lost. And, we tried to bring it back and we tried to create parallel economies, and we very much valued Monero and being able to do that. But I just think that there have been certain events which have happened, and there have been certain dominoes which have fallen at this point, which have set into motion certain things that can't be stopped. And at this point, I think for my ortho bros out there, for my tradcast, for my other fellows in Christ, God, whatever. I don't want to whatever that, but we have a lot of different people of different faiths who watch this channel. I think that should be your biggest investment right now. And I'm not saying that in the sense of, oh, we're doomed. I'm saying that in the sense of, look, the only thing that could make the world a better place at this point is bringing peace to ourselves. Because everybody's in a hysteria. Everyone's freaking out. And what's more important than setting up these parallel economies is setting up a foundation within yourself to be able to take the pressure. I mean, we talk about all the time how Monero can take the pressure if governments decide to crack down on it, and if there are delistings from exchanges, and if there's really an effort to try to track and trace this stuff. I mean, it's been able to be rather successful so far. But more importantly, as I see people around me crack, you got to have that peace within yourself. You got to have that strong relationship with Christ, because it's only going to get tougher from here. It's only going to get much tougher from here. And it goes back to the whole maxim of what we discussed consistently throughout this channel, which is that, hey, look, this is a trend that we're pointing out. We see this coming. We're ahead of the curve, but it's probably going to be worse than we anticipated. And this is another example of that, because we saw oil going up significantly. It was one of our great calls going back a number of months, but we didn't know how much it would actually go up, and we didn't anticipate these events at all. Same thing I think is probably going to happen with uranium. I know a couple of you are big on uranium. And precious metals. I've talked about precious metals since the beginning here on the channel. And as this stuff really kicks in, guys, I'm feeling that much more positive and good about precious metals. Feeling that much more good about it. I was having a conversation. Oh, excuse me. I was having a conversation with a really smart guy this past weekend in the mountains at my bachelor getaway. And he was a machine learning engineer or something like this. I mean, very, very smart guy. And we were talking about the structure of the internet, and he was talking about how easy it is to essentially cut off the internet from an entire nation. Because these wires, these cables, they run under the ocean, and from what I understand, they can be tampered with rather easily. Maybe not easily, but they can be. And it's a big single point of failure problem. It's not necessarily that you need an EMP in order to cut a nation off from the internet. I mean, these things could just fall into disrepair, or there could be some accident. Now, there's this story that he told me about this woman in Ukraine, Romania. And I think this woman had a metal detector or something like this, and she was just out one day, in this, field, and something rings up on her metal detector, and so she starts to dig. Well, 10 minutes later, she gets swarmed by a bunch of SWAT teams and government agents, and they're like, ma'am, you need to stop immediately. And she says, why? I think I found something. And they're like, you just shut off the internet to the entire Romanian nation. You just cut this wire cable, which is the internet for our country. And this really opened my eyes. Now, I think crypto is probably more robust than this. And with Bitcoin, I mean, at least you have satellites now, which seems to be the case. That is one advantage that you maybe do have over Monero. We don't have satellites. We don't have blockstream satellites. But these are things worthy to consider. I'd like to have the gold and silver with me. Now, some people have commented in regards to the people fleeing Ukraine that it would be much more helpful to have crypto instead of gold and silver, and I don't disagree with that. I think that's really making the use case for crypto shine. These 1.5 million refugees who are coming from Ukraine, I think they are really benefiting a lot from the power of crypto right now. There's no doubt about it. But I think as crises like this happen, it's more ideal from a practical perspective to have some roots somewhere. And I think the perspective of getting up and leaving and going to some third world country or going to somewhere in the mountains, it can only do you so much good. It can only do you so much good. And from my perspective, I think what you want to do in order to strategically relocate, is to prioritize getting yourself close to a church. Prioritize getting yourself close with a community of people that you can trust. That is number one. And that is going to be demanding you to establish roots in a particular area, establishing a perimeter, and making a base, fortifying a little castle for yourself and for your family and for the other people that you know and love and trust. Because life is just not worth it without your fellow human being. A lot of you guys, I'm sure, probably want to go lone wolf. And, I thought about that at one particular point. I thought about going to Idaho or Montana and being out there in the mountains or whatever. But now that I've found my church, I can't even imagine doing that. I can't even imagine. With my friends and with my family here, there's no way. I ain't moving. That's never going to happen, no matter how bad it gets here. Never going to happen. So, for me, gold and silver, the physical, this is something nice to have because it bolsters my fortified position. So that's one thing to note. What else do I want to talk about? In regards to Lent, let's just skip to this subject. I think it's just so important in order to take this time, in order to become stronger as an individual through the fast, but also to become stronger with your connection, your relationship with God. To pray more, to listen to more positive music. I'm trying to stay away from metal. I'm trying to stay away from rock. I'm trying to listen more to classical music, for example, because you can notice the difference. You can definitely notice the difference when you listen to, Bach, Beethoven, or Vivaldi versus, Cardi B or Lil Nas X. Not that I even listen to that crap anyway. It's not even music. It's literally like, it's like Satan himself playing a record backwards in hell, and whatever that sounds like. It works its way into the studio production houses. And by the way, they do this on purpose. They're literally trying to turn society into like a satanic playground for the Antichrist or whatever. I don't know, but I'm trying to listen to better music, and then I'm trying to read more of the Bible. I'm trying to read more, Orthodox literature rather than read, things that I've got here, which is a good book that's worthy to read, but 1984, it's worse than what's even in here going on now, so not that I really even need the education. So I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to listen to more Orthodox podcasts, positive podcasts. Even listen to Joel Osteen if you're going to listen. If you just want to dip your water into anything, I don't necessarily see him as being necessarily full of enlightenment that's going to save you and give you some proximity to salvation, because he's got sort of like the whole prosperity gospel thing going on. But that's better than, I would even say, 90% of the stuff that you could listen to out there. Just improve what you could listen to, because it really will make your day better, and it will make you look at everything going on with a more positive light. And look, I'm not trying to doom you guys out. I'm just trying to be straight with you. I'm just trying to be real. And I think that us being real and straight has actually accomplished a lot here on the channel. Now, it's obviously made it so that we don't grow as fast and as broad as we otherwise would have. I mean, we really are a niche here on this channel with our love of Christ and our love of an obscure cryptocurrency called Monero. I mean, I get it. We're not gonna reach many ears, right? We're like internet bicyclists with white shirts. Nobody's really opening the door, right? But those who do, they tend to stay for a while. But I think that somebody out here's got to tell you what's going on. And just because I think it's like the end of the world doesn't mean I think it's necessarily even a bad thing, or that there can't be greatness which comes on the other side of this. But I think it's a good opportunity to step back. It's a good opportunity to step back because there really is just a lot of wild stuff going on out there. Now, we talked a little bit about the funding of the Ukraine war with crypto on the last video, and I can't remember if I did that in this video too. But I think this is going to be the last video for a while. I think that we really have done good work here on the channel. Over the last 8 months, we've put out, 120 videos detailing, the magnum opus case for why Monero. I think we've done a pretty good job of that. And I think anyone can go back to these videos and get a pretty good DL on the philosophy behind this stuff. And, I wish I made those videos about store of value versus medium exchange. But as I said, I think earlier, I think it's just too late. And it's too late to really use crypto in order to push back against everything that's going on in society right now. Because I think that we're just in the quickening. It's just we don't have those systems up and running. We just don't. The more people that do, the better. And I'm not saying to stop now and give in to the CBDC. Never. But, I just, there's a certain amount of depth that we're going to have to descend to in order for us to reach back up, I think. But I think we've done good work. We've gotten a lot of good people into Monero, and I think we've really helped the parallel economy grow. I think we've done that, and that's always going to exist. I don't think the parallel economy is necessarily strong enough in order to offer people an alternative to the current system that is seamless to transition to, or even easy to transition to, but it's there. And I think that's going to serve now more so as a lifeboat for people, because we need our own money. We got to get our money out of the hands of the crazy people. And the CBDCs, I think, are still coming, but I think this black swan out of Europe just has everybody's attention right now, because even if you think this war is planned, which, it is kind of interesting how the whole Kufa thing dies down and then this whole thing ratchets up. It's kind of crazy. I mean, it does make you think, is Putin in on this? What's going on? But the nature of these things is to take on a life of their own. The spirit of violence, the demon of bloodshed, it can't be contained once it's out. It just has to run its course in many cases. And who knows what's to come of this? I hope it stops as soon as possible, and we should all pray that this war stops as soon as possible. And I pray that the wars in Syria stop. I pray that the wars in Yemen stop. I pray that all of this stops as soon as possible. But we have to get ready for the worst, my friends. We have to get ready for the worst, and we've got to be ready. And that means not only stacking and getting your storable foods and whatever, but also getting close with Christ, finding your community, finding the people that you would lay down your life for, and building those relationships. I think that's what you should do. But yeah, it's tax season. I'm very busy. It's Lent, so I'll be even busier. And I've got other things going on in the personal life. So I think that this will be the last video for a good while. If you are a patron, please be sure to unsubscribe. If not, I'll see if I can find a way to stop the recurring payments, because I don't want you to pay for something that you're not getting any access to. But I think that's it. For a while. You're not going to find me on Twitter. I don't think you're going to find me on Telegram, really. But the Ortho Bros out there, reach out to me. I'm going to keep in touch with you, Tony. I'm going to keep in touch with you, Crypto Monk, because we've got to support each other through this period where we get closer to our Lord and we sacrifice ourselves for our community and for our lovely God. And if you are an Ortho Bro and you want to sort of be part of that network, get in touch with me, and I'll keep you in my prayers, and I'll keep you in the chat. So I think that's it. As for the patrons, thank you, Josh, Ken, Ronan, and Lutz. I hope that when the spring ends, I will be back to do interviews, and hopefully, all this stuff is cleaned up, and things are just more relaxed. But I think the trend is in place, and I don't actually expect that to be the case. But I'll have more time because it won't be tax season anymore, at least. I think that's it. I feel pretty good. About what we did here. But I think I'll be back. That said, Maneira Mateo. Love you guys a lot. Enjoy your Lent. Enjoy life. And I will see you guys soon. Maybe. And if not, much love to you. God bless you.